Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode on the Sports Stories podcast. I'm your host, Seiji McSwain, and today's episode, I'm going to be going over the top 10 NBA draft busts, so let's get right into today's episode. Now, starting off at 10, which is like the lower of the NBA draft busts on my list, I have Adam Morrison, who was drafted by the Charlotte Bobcats. Now, to his defense, Adam Morrison won 2 NBA championships. No other player on this list has the ability to say that. Morrison played for Gonzaga University for 3 seasons. Between his freshman and sophomore years, he made progress, but it was in his junior year that he cemented his place at the top of the draft lists. In the country, he scored 28.1 points per game. Morrison reached the 40-point mark 5 times, including against Loyola Marymount, where he scored a career-high 44 points. Now, Morrison also had a three-point percentage of 42.8%. Morrison, a college basketball legend, was an explosive scorer and a man who wore his heart on his sleeve. You could definitely see the emotion on the court when he was winning. And the National Player of the Year award, which he shared with J.J. Redick that year, was also the cherry on top for his collegiate career. Now, Morrison was selected 3rd overall in the 2006 NBA draft by the Charlotte Bobcats. Now, Morrison had a strong rookie season in terms of scoring. He had 12 games with 20 or more points, including a career-high 30 against the Indiana Pacers. And he averaged about 12 points, 38% from field, and 34% from the three-point line, as well as a 71% from the free throw line in his rookie season. Now, the Bobcats benched him from the starting lineup in the second part of the season due to his subpar shooting and terrible defense. He nevertheless earned a spot on the all-rookie second team. Now, Morrison missed the whole 2007 to 2008 season after tearing his ACL the following year during a preseason game against the Lakers. And then in the following season, he only appeared in 44 games for Charlotte, averaging only 4.5 points. The final 2 years of Morrison's career were spent with the Lakers as a bench player. Despite only participating in 39 games, he managed to capture a championship every year. He only averaged 7.5 points, 2.1 rebounds, and 1.4 assists over the course of his career. He also made 37.3% of his shots from the field and 33.1% of his three-point attempts. While his career did not go as planned, he can still say that he won 2 NBA championships with the Lakers. Now, coming in at number 9, I have Kwame Brown, who was drafted by the Washington Wizards. Nearly all of the highly regarded NBA prospects in the late 1990s and early 2000s graduated from high school. These athletes didn't need to play in college since they were that excellent. Brown had an outstanding senior year in high school. The 6'11" power forward averaged 20.1 points, 13.3 rebounds, and 5.8 blocks per game. He was also selected to the McDonald's All-American team. Brown was selected 1st overall by the Washington Wizards in the 2001 NBA draft, which also, just imagine being a college athlete who played 4 years in college, right? And only to have the 1st overall pick be a player that's never played in college. That's pretty big burden on both Kwame Brown's shoulders, but also just the players that were also in that draft. Like, he definitely had a chip on his shoulder for all the players in that draft class. And, Brown's problem was that he had a lot of hype, but little talent. His basketball skills were lacking, and he was immature. Brown appeared in 57 games as a rookie, averaging 4.5 points and 3.5 rebounds. He improved slightly over the next 2 seasons. In the 2003 to 2004 season, he averaged 10.9 points and 7.4 rebounds, both career highs. He had a good game against the Sacramento Kings where he put up 30 points and 19 rebounds with a 75% field goal percentage. The Wizards made him a 5-year, $30 million offer in response to his growth and the free agency period coming up. He declined it because he wanted to explore free agency in the coming offseason. After that, he struggled with injuries the next season, appearing in only 42 games. His numbers also suffered greatly. He was acquired by the Los Angeles Lakers before the 2005 to 2006 season. he did little for the rest of his career. He did little for the rest of his career, but he did have an area in the postseason series where he averaged 12.9 points and 6.6 rebounds. Brown played for 5 additional teams before retiring after 13 seasons. Now, his overall stats are 6.6 points, 5.5 rebounds, and a 49.2% field goal percentage. Additionally, he only made 57% from the free throw line, while most fans consider him a bust. He can take solace in the fact that he was able to stay in the league for about 13 years, which is a pretty big feat because I know in the NFL the average span for a player is like 3 years, or 3 to 6 years. I want to say. I can't even imagine what it's like in the NBA, just due to like how close the primes are, and like how easily somebody can just be cut out of the league entirely. So I mean, him still playing for 13 years in the league is pretty good. And after that Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, came out, Kwame Brown did kind of come out and validated that Michael Jordan wasn't the greatest team player. I think because Kwame Brown was drafted the same year, I want to say, that Jordan played there, and I guess Jordan really just kind of limited him and didn't allow him to reach his full potential, which could be something that really affected his career and made him a bust. From his eyes, he was just kind of saying that Michael Jordan just wasn't really letting him play. But then again, if you're putting up the numbers that he was putting, I mean, if I were Michael Jordan, I'd put you on the bench as well. But it could be that there could be some correlation between those two things, both Michael Jordan kind of benching him and sitting him for the majority of the season and his numbers declining. Now at number 8, I have Michael Olowokandi, who was drafted by the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, it took Michael I'm gonna have a hard time pronouncing his last name. It took Michael Olowokandi, until he was 18 years old before he began playing basketball. Although it's not ideal, some athletes could be able to make it work as an NBA prospect. He attended the University of Pacific and played college basketball there. Olowokandi had a strong senior season, averaging 22.2 points, 11.2 rebounds, and 2.9 blocks. In addition, he was named Big West Player of the Year. When the Los Angeles Clippers selected Olowokandi first overall in the 1998 draft, they were torn between him and Mike Bibby, which, everybody knows about Mike Bibby. So Mike Bibby probably would have been the better pick. And I did just do that video about the 2002 Western Conference Finals, where Mike Bibby did kind of carry the Kings in that one, along with Chris Webber. But anyway, back on track here. And they ultimately chose Olowokandi with Bibby coming in second. Not Bibby's coming in second, but Bibby coming in second. Due to a lockout, the 1998-99 NBA season did not begin until February 1999. Olowokandi was in Italy when the lockout ended, and as a result, he arrived late to training camp. Olowokandi had a solid rookie season, averaging 8.9 points and 7.9 rebounds. He was named to the all-rookie second team that season. Over the following 2 seasons, his stats stayed the same, but in 2001-02 and 2002-03, they improved. By the 2002 and 03 season, Olowokandi averaged 12.3 points, 9.1 rebounds, and 2.2 blocks, with 38 minutes per game. Following that, he dealt with a previous knee injury, which happened in 2003, which then hampered the rest of his career. Despite signing a 3-year contract with the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2003, he missed over 100 games in 3 seasons due to knee injuries. He was also suspended by the team in 2004 after being arrested for failing to leave a nightclub. He then spent the next 2 seasons of his career with the Boston Celtics. During those 2 seasons, he appeared in just 40 games. His career averages were 8.3 points per game and 6.3 rebounds per game. He also never shot more than 46% in a season. The main issue was injuries, but off-court issues also played a role in his demise. Now next at the 7th spot, I have Chris Washburn, who was drafted by the Golden State Warriors. Now, players can fall short of expectations due to circumstances beyond their control, such as injuries. Chris Washburn, though, is not one of those players. Here, he clearly identified himself as a bust. Washburn had a solid, if not spectacular, college career at NC State. He averaged 16.4 points and 6.6 rebounds over 2 seasons. However, there were some off-court issues that should have raised concerns. He was arrested after stealing a stereo. He also did not take his SAT, which resulted in a very low score. Even on the court, Washburn was chastised for having a poor work ethic. Despite the turmoil, the Golden State Warriors selected Washburn 3rd overall in the 1986 NBA draft. He had a kidney infection in January 1987. Later that month, he admitted himself to a rehab for his cocaine addiction. Later in March, Washington did make his way back onto the Warriors. In 35 games during his first season, he averaged 3.8 points and 2.9 rebounds. And he also had 2 17-point performances. Halfway through the 1987-88 season, the Warriors traded him to the Atlanta Falcons. During that season, he participated in 29 games with the Hawks and 37 games with the Warriors. And with that, his NBA career was pretty over, or basically over. After he failed 3 drug tests. The decision to draft Washburn was dubious from the start. There were numerous red flags, but they clearly believed the potential was worth it. However, when a player has such a poor work ethic, it is usually not the case. To end on a positive note, Washburn did overcome his drug addiction after leaving the NBA, which was great, and now I kind of see him working more with getting everybody back on their feet after such a heavy addiction like his was, and he's just helping out the community as of right now. Now next, coming in at the 6th spot, I have Greg Oden, who was drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers. Now back in 2007, if you were placing NBA draft wagers, you probably had Oden going to the Blazers at pick number 1. That would have seemed like a wise wager given his stature and skill. Greg Oden's career may have been hampered more by injuries than anything else, but I'm sure some people would have ranked him among the top 5 busts. Oden only spent 1 season at Ohio State, but that season allowed him to show off his talent. He's able to average 15.7 points and 9.6 rebounds thanks to his height at 7 foot. He recorded 15 more rebounds in 5 of his outings. The Portland Trail Blazers selected Oden with the 1st overall pick in the 2007 NBA draft, but he missed the entire rookie season due to knee surgery. Oden missed 20 games in the 2008-09 season due to knee and foot issues. However, with 18 double-doubles that season, he showed signs of his ability. The following season, he got off to a tremendous start. His total stats were significantly higher than they had been the previous season. Simply compare them side by side. Unfortunately, another knee injury ended his season. In 2009-10, after 21 games, Portland kept him on their roster for a few years, but he couldn't play because he had knee problems and had multiple surgeries. Oden signed a 1-year contract with the Miami Heat for the 2013 to 2014 season. Oden's NBA career ended after he appeared in just 21 games that season. Despite being a member of the league from 2007 to 2014, Oden appeared in 105 games over 3 seasons. He averaged 8 points and 6.2 rebounds during that time. It's difficult to say whether Oden would have lived up to the hype if he hadn't suffered knee injuries. However, I believe it's safe to say that he would have had a successful career. He did, after all, exhibit some potential even following the initial knee injury. Now next, coming in at number 5, We have Hasheem Thabeet, who was drafted by the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, Hasheem Thabeet is another center who failed to reach his full potential and ranks among the NBA's biggest flops. At UConn, the 7'3", 263 pound Thabeet was one of the top centers in the country. His senior year at school was by far his best. He averaged 13.6 points, 10.8 rebounds, and 4.2 blocks per game while shooting 64% from the field. The Memphis Grizzlies selected Thabeet with the second overall pick in the 2009 NBA draft. His first season wasn't very noteworthy. He averaged 3.1 points, 3.6 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks in just 13 minutes per game. Thabeet never finished the season with more than 11 points or rebounds in a game. However, they did have 6 contests with 4 or more blocks. The Grizzlies quickly came to the conclusion that Thabeet will never attain his full potential. Due to this, they dealt him to the Houston Rockets in the middle of his second NBA season. Only 7 games played by Thabeet with Houston before they traded him to the Portland Trail Blazers, before moving to the Oklahoma City Thunder for the first 2 seasons. He played there for just 15 games. Thabeet had no impact with the Thunder other than a 13-point, 10 rebound double-double against the Charlotte Bobcats in 2012. With Thabeet, there wasn't actually any accidents or harm of any kind. I believe he simply had trouble adapting his style to the NBA. He was thought of as a defensive anchor, but when it didn't work out, his offensive skill, really left nothing there on the court. Thabeet's NBA career screams bust from every angle. Now coming in at number 4, I have LaRue Martin, who was drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers, again on this list. I doubt many people recognize the name LaRue Martin, but he was the original NBA draft bust. Martin dominated the college landscape and star players and was one of the star players in the 1970s. He spent 3 seasons at Loyola University Chicago. Each season, Martin averaged a double-double. He finished his college career with an average of 18.2 points and 15.9 rebounds. The Portland Trail Blazers selected the 6'11" center first overall in the 1972 NBA draft. Martin, despite his height, was largely ineffective. He had 10 or more rebounds in 8 games, but his overall numbers were not encouraging. Martin had 4.4 points and 4.6 rebounds per game. In addition, he only shot 39.6% from the field. The following season, his stats were pretty constant, and he made little progress. Unfortunately, it was short-lived. Martin played in the NBA for one last season, averaging 4.4 points and 4.9 rebounds for the Trailblazers. And then Martin was traded to the Seattle Supersonics, but he was released before the season began. He also signed with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Chicago Bulls, but both teams cut him before he could play. He appeared in 271 NBA games over 4 seasons. He averaged 5.3 points and 4.6 rebounds while shooting 41.6% from the field during that time. Portland could have avoided this by selecting Bob McAdoo in the first round, or with their first pick. However, there was strange backstory going on with him and joining the ABA in a secret draft. He finished close behind Martin for second pick overall. The Trailblazers simply don't have any luck selecting centers in the draft, clearly, and Martin was the beginning and subsequent route to the end, or bust at the end. He was one of the first really big ones, especially in the early 70s. He was really one of the first busts that I was able to find, or just like scrolling through the internet. He was definitely the first big bust that really happened to be in the NBA. Now next, coming at 3, I have Sam Bowie, who again was drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, Sam Bowie might have the best numbers on this list. He remains, pretty. He's one of the. I guess I should say he remains undoubtedly one of the greatest players of all time that is a bust. So, that will happen if you are selected ahead of the greatest player of all time, Michael Jordan. Now, this is one of the most egregious draft blunders in U.S. sports history. Bowie had a successful collegiate career at Kentucky University, but his injury concerns must have worried scouts in the future. In 3 seasons, he averaged 13.4 points, 8.8 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks. He did, however, miss 2 full seasons due to a fracture. I can't remember which part. I do want to say it was the leg, but it was a stress fracture somewhere. And Bowie had a strong season in 1984 to 1985 with 10 points, 8.6 rebounds, and 2.7 blocks, despite Portland taking a step back. Additionally, he made the all-rookie first team and had a field goal percentage of 53.7%. Sadly, his career was dominated by injuries for the remainder of it. With 11.8 points and 8.6 rebounds in 38 games, he was having another strong season when he shattered his left tibia. He only played 5 games that season before breaking the next season before breaking his right tibia. Bowie experienced difficulty in his right leg during the preseason warm-ups for the 1987 to 88 season. His right tibia was found to have a hairline fracture. Following surgery, he missed 62 games. The following season, in addition to the entire current one, he only appeared in 20 more games for Portland. Bowie finished his career with the New Jersey Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers. Bowie nevertheless managed to turn into respectable statistics despite the fact that his career didn't pan out the way everyone had imagined. Sadly, he will always be remembered as the person who was picked before Michael Jordan. Now, coming in at number 2, we have Darko Milicic, who was drafted by my Detroit Pistons. Now, some NBA draft busts are the result of poor play, while others are the result of Hall of Fame caliber players passing them up. But Darko Milicic was kind of both. Prior to being selected in the NBA draft, Milicic played in Serbia. NBA scouts were interested in the 7-foot, 250-pound center, even at the age of 18. Teams believed he was the next major international prospect because of his superior skills. Now, Milicic was selected by the Detroit Pistons with the 2nd overall pick in the 2003 NBA draft. Now, having acquired the pick in a trade years prior, Detroit was already one of the top teams in the league. In his first few NBA seasons, he hardly played on the court. Throughout the 2 seasons, Milicic played only 5.8 minutes per game on average. In addition, he had 1.6 points and 1.3 rebounds on average. And Milicic did, however, lead the Pistons to a championship in his first year, or at least he did win one in his first year. Now, Milicic was traded to the Orlando Magic halfway through the 2005 to 2006 season. He appeared in 110 games for the team, averaging 7.9 points and 5.1 rebounds per game. He essentially bounced around the league after that. He had 2 turbulent seasons with the Memphis Grizzlies and appeared in 8 games with the New York Knicks. Over the course of his final 2 seasons in the league, he only played 30 additional games. His unimpressive career lasted 10 seasons. He had 6 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks per game over that span. He also had a field goal percentage of just 46%. His dismal performance wasn't really helping matters, but the selection just made things worse when you consider that Carmelo Anthony, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade were all selected after Milicic. With any of these players, Detroit could have established a dynasty. which it does kind of hurt to look back at that, because Carmelo, Chris Bosh, or Dwayne Wade would have been perfect picks to add to Pistons team that was kind of getting older and needed more young talent. Now coming in at the first spot, the biggest bust in my opinion in NBA history is Anthony Bennett, who was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows this draft bust. But when the Cleveland Cavaliers selected LeBron James and Kyrie Irving first overall in the 2003 and 2011 NBA drafts, they hit a home run. Bennett only participated in one season at UNLV. His efficiency was outstanding. He averaged 16.1 points and 8.1 rebounds. Additionally, he made 37.5% of his three-point attempts and shot 53.3% overall. There was no obvious top player in the weak 2013 draft class, and the Cavaliers selected Bennett with the first overall choice, which shocked. I mean, it kind of shocked a lot of people, but also it was kind of an obvious pick, because the draft class was just so weak that he was doing pretty good in the UNLV system. Now his professional life has had a terrible start. In his first 7 games, he only managed to score 5 points and made 1 field goal. I wish I could say things got better from there, but they didn't. He did not have 2 double doubles, but that was he did have 2 double doubles, but that was about it. He averaged 4.2 points and 3 rebounds per game this season. His strong shooting in college did not clearly translate, as he shot 35.6% from the field. Following his rookie season, Cleveland traded Bennett to the Minnesota Timberwolves as part of a 3-team trade. Despite more playing time, his numbers remained, below par, subpar. After the season, Minnesota purchased his contract, and then Bennett's career ended after a season with both the Toronto Raptors and the Brooklyn Nets. Fans presumably hoped for higher numbers rather than superstardom from Bennett, but I doubt that was their expectation. His performance simply, lacked any promise. I could pick on the fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo was available to the Cavaliers, but was passed over by 13 other teams. The Cavaliers could have, though, at least acquired a better player with the first overall pick. Again, possibly even Giannis, which at that moment in time, Giannis was even a reach for the Bucks, or was considered a reach by the Bucks. So I'm not sure how well Giannis would have been received in Cleveland, as well as who knows if Giannis would have even turned into the same player. Maybe Anthony Bennett's career kind of just fell to developmental team, or like the team's developmental department, and they just didn't develop him. So there could be a possibility that Giannis wouldn't have been as great of a player as we know him to be now. And that was it for today's episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And while you're down there, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. And also leave that click on that notification button when you're notified of all the videos I release. And then if you are listening to it on the podcast version, make sure you leave a follow. And also while you're there, leave a 5-star review. That would help me out a lot. And thank you again for listening or watching all the way through. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.